Gloria Naylor's The Women of Brewster Place is made up of 7 stories of the women who live on Brewster Place, a dead end street cut off from the city by a wall. The first story is about Mattie Michael. Mattie's journey to Brewster Place begins in rural Tennessee, but when she becomes pregnant, she leaves town to avoid her father's wrath. For a while, she manages to earn just enough money to pay rent on the room she shares with her baby, Basil. One night, a rat bites the baby while they are sleeping, and Mattie begins to search for a better place to live. Just as she is about to give up, she meets Eva Turner, an old woman who lives with her granddaughter Seal. Eva invites Mattie in for dinner and offers her a place to stay. Years later, when the old woman dies, Mattie has saved enough money to buy the house. Ciel's parents take her away, but Mattie stays on with Basil. She refuses to see any faults in him, and when he gets in trouble with the law, she puts up her house to bail him out of jail. When he jumps bail, she loses the house she had worked 30 years to own, and her long journey from Tennessee finally ends in a small apartment on Brewster Place. The second story is about Eta Mae Johnson. Though Ita's journey starts in the same small town of Mattis, the path she takes to Brewster Place is very different. Discovering early on that America is not yet ready for a bold, confident, intelligent black woman, she learns to survive by attaching herself to any promising rising black star, and when he burned out, she found another. She joins Matty on Brewster Place after leaving the last in a long series of men. Attending church with Mattie, she stares enviously at the respectable wives of the deacons and wishes that she had taken a different path. Eyeing the attractive visiting preacher, she wonders if it is not still possible for her to change her lot in life. When Reverend Woods clearly returns her interest, Eta gladly accepts his invitation to go out for coffee. Though Mattie expresses her concerns about his intentions, by the end of the evening, Eta realizes that Mattie was right and she walks up Brewster Street with a broken spirit. As she climbs the stairs of the apartment, however, she hears Mattie playing Eta's loose life records. With pleasure, she realizes that someone is waiting up for her. The third is the story of Kiswana Brown. Kiswana is a young lady from a middle class black family. Idealistic and earning to help others, she dropped out of college and moved on to Brewster Place to live amongst other African American people. She resents her conservative parents and their middle class values and feels that her family has rejected their black heritage. When her mother comes to visit her, they quarrel over Kiswana's choice of neighborhood and over her decision to leave school. Kiswana thinks that she is nothing like her mother, but when her mother's temper flares, Kiswana has to admit that she admires her mother and that they are more alike than she had realized. The fourth story is about Lucy Leah Lucy Turner. CL, the grandchild of Eva Turner, also ends up on Brewster Place. Her chapter begins with the return of the boyfriend who had left her 11 months before when their baby Serena was only a month old. She is relieved to have him back and she is still in love with him. So she tries to ignore his irresponsible behavior and mean temper. When she becomes pregnant again, however, it becomes harder to deny the problems. He complains that he will never be able to get ahead with her and 2 babies to care for. And although she does not want to do it, she gets an abortion. When he leaves her, she finally sees him for what he is and only regrets that she had not had this realization before the abortion. As she is thinking this, they hear a scream from Serena, who had stuck a fork in an electrical outlet. After the child's death, CL nearly dies from grief. She stops eating and refuses to take care of herself. But Mattie will not let her die and finally gets Seal to face her grief. The fifth story is about Cora Lee. Cora Lee began life as a little girl who loved playing with new baby dolls. As a grown woman, she continues to love the feel and smell of new babies. But once they grow into children, she is frustrated with how difficult they are. She stops even trying to keep any one man around. She prefers the shadows who come in the night. With these anonymous men, she gets pregnant, but doesn't have to endure the beatings or disappointment intimacy might bring. To pacify Kiswana, Coralie agrees to take her children to a Shakespeare play in the local park. As she watches the actors on stage and her children in the audience, she is filled with remorse for not having been a more responsible parent. She vows that she will start helping them with homework and walking them to school. She comes home that night filled with good intentions. She will encourage her children and they can grow up to be important, talented people like the actors on the stage. But when she finds another shadow in her bedroom, she sighs and lets her clothes drop to the floor. The sixth story is named The Two. When Lorraine and Teresa first move on to Brewster Street, the other women are relieved that they seem like nice girls who will not be after their husbands. But soon the neighbors start to notice the loving looks that pass between the two women, and soon the other women in the neighborhood reject Lorraine's gestures of friendship. Teresa, the bolder of the two, doesn't care what the neighbors think of them, and she doesn't understand why Lorraine does care. Feeling rejected both by her neighbors and by Teresa, Lorraine finds comfort in talking to Ben, the old alcoholic handyman of Brewster Place. Lorraine reminds Ben of his estranged daughter, and Lorraine finds in Ben a new father to replace the one who kicked her out when she refused to lie about being a lesbian. One night after an argument with Teresa, Lorraine decides to go visit Ben. As she passes through the valley near the wall, she is attacked by C.C. Baker and his friends, the teenager boys who terrorize Brewster Place. All six of the boys rape her, leaving her near death. In her delirium and pain, she sees movement at the end of the alley, and she picks up a brick to protect herself from what she perceives as a possible threat. She beats the drunken and oblivious Ben to death before Mattie can reach her and stop her. The last story is named The Block Party. For a week after Ben's death, it rains continuously, and although they will not admit it to each other, all the women dream of Lorraine that week. The sun comes out for the block party that Kiswana has been organizing to raise money to take the landlord to court. The party seems joyful and successful, and CL even returns to see Mattie. But even CL, who doesn't know what has happened by the wall, reports that she has been dreaming of Ben and Lorraine. The rain begins to fall again, and Kiswana tries to get people to pack up, but they seem desperate to continue the party. Then Cora Lee notices that there is still blood on the bricks. In a frenzy, the women begin tearing down the wall. Then suddenly Mattie awakes. It is morning and the sun is still shining. The wall is still standing and everyone is getting ready for the block party.